I was posting a link to one of my blogs in one of these black fantasy Facebook groups, and the response I got was quite troubling. Now, I was writing about this black feminist writer, Roxane Gay, being the writer of or the Black Panther, or one of these so-called Black Panther spin-off series. And the response I got from black men pretty much made me want to shake my head. Here we had a group of black men going out of their way to defend a black feminist. And when you think about that, that's a very troubling concept. Black men defending someone who is promoting an narrative that is diametrically opposed to themselves and promotes ideas that are negative against themselves. This is the problem that I saw with this Negro, and literally defending it to the core. And I'm sitting there going to myself, do these guys understand what black feminism really is about? Do they understand the foundations? And I tried to explain it to them that the foundations of writers like your Alice Walker were to promote a misandristic agenda against black men. Because in her award-winning novel, The Color Purple, she pretty much bashes up black men like a piñata, presenting black men as sexual deviants, black brutes, and utterly violent. And this is a book that was written by your Alice Walker that, when it was promoted in public schools, pretty much created a narrative that pretty much led to the gender divide that we have right now in the black community. This is the same Alice Walker who also promoted the works of Zora Neale Hurston and mistranslated a novel like Their Eyes Were Watching God, which was also promoted in public schools and pushed, again, a black feminist agenda, which promoted a narrative telling you that this Janie Crawford character was pretty much systematically abused by black men, but never talking about how this Janie Crawford was pretty much raised by a black single mother. And I'm looking at this, and it made me just shake my head, because I said to myself, when it comes down to black men, you're trying to help them, but they don't understand what help really is. They don't understand that when somebody is pushing a black feminist agenda is not pro-black male. It is anti-black male. And it has been anti-black male for many, many years. And when you try to explain it to them, they just went ballistic. And it was just sad to see how many of these black men just don't understand how dangerous a black feminist is and the long-term impact they can have on how black people shape themselves. And a lot of people, they looked at this woman being promoted and hired at Marvel as a step in the right direction, but I was trying to explain it to them that a black feminist narrative is just very dangerous for black people, because when you look at a black feminist narrative and the damage that it has done in the black community, you just see it right in front of you, because this is what I've seen over the last 40 years growing up here in the South Bronx, because this was one of the epicenters of the welfare state, which was promoted by black women who were part of the feminist movement and black feminists as the way to go. And the sad part is many of these black men don't understand the long-term impact of feminism on the black male psyche, the black community, and black society overall. I understand what impact feminism had on the black community, how it pretty much led to the complete breakup of the black family structure, the black family unit, and the black community being gender divided, because liberals came in with the feminists to push a narrative which created this welfare state and pretty much, again, promotes the idea that the black male is a savage, a black brute, a violent-prone individual. All these are ideas that are not only promoted by white racists, but promoted by black feminists as well, because a black feminist pretty much is one of the enforcers of white supremacy. Unfortunately, you cannot tell many of these black men this, because they pretty much cannot connect the dots regarding black feminism and its correlation with white supremacy. Because when you look at where the black feminists came from, they were coming out of an idea that they would join the white feminist movement in order not to get the equality of a white woman, but to be just like white women. Because women like your Alice Walker and many others in the feminist movement, like Angela Davis, when they decided to go out and have relationships, they did not have them with black men. They had them with white men. And you cannot explain this to the Negro, because he's sitting there still thinking that feminism was there to benefit him, to support him, to enable him. And I'm sitting there, just, it was one of the most disturbing things to ever deal with. It was like being in an insane asylum. You're sitting here defending a black feminist, and you don't understand the underpinnings and the structures of black feminism to understand that this person, yes, they've been hired in a diversity move, but it's not a move that's going to benefit you in the long term. And many of these black people in the comic book world, they're just focusing on the short term, not understanding the long term ramifications that can come with the wrong black person in the job. Because a feminist is just going to, again, not promote ideas related to presenting a positive image of black masculinity. And this is one of the things, yes, she's writing a spin-off book, but that's a spin-off book that's not going to help you overall. Now, some of these guys came in talking about, well, it's going to get us female comic fans. Well, I have this to say. How many white female comic fans are going to buy a comic book featuring two black women? You can't answer the question. And they can't see that this is just, again, a diversity hire that was meant to be passive-aggressive in a way of saying that we're going to add diversity, but when it doesn't work, what we're going to say is, when the book doesn't sell, we hired a black woman to write a comic, we promoted a black comic with black women in it, and then when the comic didn't sell, well, that's why we don't produce comics featuring black women. Again, they do not look at the long-term picture. They don't look at how all of these actions are pretty much not going to benefit them. They're not looking at how the bigger picture of things. They're looking at the short term, they're looking at the emotional, and they're not looking at the logical. But this is par for the course when it comes down to your black male. Your black male is very short-term focused and very emotional. And some of these guys were going to sit here and try to say that I was homophobic, but I'm sitting here saying that I understand the agendas of black feminism, I understand the platform of black feminism, I understand black feminist writers, I've studied their ideology, I've studied their platform, I've done research on their platform. I understand that their platform is diametrically opposed to black men. They have a intense hatred for black men in some cases. And here is someone in a platform on in a publishing division at Marvel Comics who is producing a comic, but that comic is not beneficial to black men. Yes, it's part of a diversity initiative, but that diversity initiative is going to promote a narrative that may not be beneficial to black men. And a lot of these black men are not looking at the big picture the way I looked at the big picture and the long-term impact of media such as your Color Purple, which was produced by your Alice Walker, your Precious, which was adapted from the novel Push, which was created by Sapphire. And they're not looking at how these books and how this literature paints a negative picture of black men. Because if you look at the movie Precious, it pretty much, again, paints the picture of a black man being an incestuous black brute. If you look at The Color Purple, it presents a misandristic image of black men. And if you look at the whole black feminist platform, it pretty much never paints a picture of black men in a positive light. And this is something that many black men, they're not thinking critically about. And because they don't think critically about things in the overall, they wind up getting damaged in the long term overall. And then they wind up sitting there wondering, how did this happen to me? And I'm just going to sit there and try to explain it to you, but this is just how your black male is. Your black male, whenever you try to present him with facts, logic, and reason, comes back at you with emotion and drama. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.